7th. It's actually a little bit foggy here in Chicago, but yeah, we're going to go through everything with the Nadex platform today. So we have a good amount of people already in here, so we will just get it kicked off and see if we maybe get a couple more as we jump in. Here is our wonderful disclaimer. We always have to go over this at the beginning of every webinar. Very basically says trading on Nadex, just like trading anywhere else, is going to involve risk. Don't trade here if you don't have the money to risk. You don't want to be trading with any money that you need for other things like food, rent. You want to be trading with that discretionary income. Also, I'll be placing some trades on the demo environment today just to show how to actually go through, place some trades on the platform, and show off the functionality. None of the trades we're going to be placing are any kind of recommendation for you to go out and make those trades. I'll be making them fairly at random just to show, again, the functionality of that platform. So I'm going to leave this on the screen just for one more second, make sure everyone gets a good chance to read this here. All right, I think that's good enough. Let's jump on into the thick of it. A little bit about me real quick. I've been working at Nadex since 2017, so about 5 years now. And I've been heavily working on the platform and our products for the last 4 years. So the platform, I was in the thick of it throughout kind of the whole development of it. So I like doing this webinar just to show off a lot of the functionality that is in the platform, how to get in and use it, and some of the stuff that may not be as readily apparent when you first jump in. And just in my personal life, I trade mostly equity options. I don't trade binaries except on the demo because I am an employee of Nadex, and so we actually, no employees of Nadex actually trade on the exchange itself. That's against our rules, but I do trade on the demo. So if you're placing demo trades, I might be on the other side of them. All right, we'll jump off this page and get over to the agenda here. Really, I'm just going to go through the entirety of the platform. We'll do the layout, we'll do the placing orders, managing positions. We're really going to go through everything. So this agenda should just basically say everything. And without further ado, I think we've set everything up enough, so we'll jump right over to the platform. While I do that, just to let everybody know, if you do have any questions throughout the webinar, go ahead, throw them up in chat. I have the chat window up on my other screen over here, so I will get to them as they come in. Or if you'd like, you just wait till the end. We'll take a little time at the end of the webinar for questions as well. But let's jump over. Okay, hopefully now everyone can see the great login screen here. I'm gonna log into my demo account. I like Nadex. And here we go. We are in the beautiful platform here. So I will be going through basically all the platform here today. I won't be really touching on the charts too much. If you are interested in all the functionality of the charts themselves, excuse me, I did a webinar last week, so you can go check that out on our YouTube channel, or I do them really every Thursday, so check back for an upcoming one. So let's go to the platform. If this is your first time seeing it, welcome to it. Over here on the left-hand panel, this is where we're going to start, where I basically always start, and that's where you're going to be able to find all of your different products and all of your different market classes. So going up from the top left, you have your binary options, your call spreads, and your knockouts. Those are going to be the 3 different products that you can trade on the Nadex environment. And now, as you probably saw, as I click through them, you can see the market classes for each available product underneath them, right? So if you want to trade a binary, you click on binaries, and let's do a Forex. We'll click on Forex contract here. So you click into your different market class, whatever you'd like to choose, and then you have all of your different actual assets. So kind of in alphabetical order here, going from Aussie yen all the way down at the bottom to dollar peso. So what do we want to trade here today? Let's do euro dollar. Euro dollar is a pretty popular one. So as you might notice, as we scroll through this, we have our different asset classes, our different markets. And then underneath those, we have the different durations for the products themselves. So for each binary, for each call spread, for each knockout, you're going to have different durations for those products. For the euro dollar, let's click on, we'll do a 2-hour contract. So this one expires at 2 p.m. Really just listed, so we got an hour and 55 minutes left. You can see all that here at 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. You can also see the indicative market right here where I'm circling around, or the indicative price. That's going to be the price of that underlying market. And so you can see the prices of all those underlying markets straight from that price ladder there. Let's jump in. So clicking on that, I'm going to get another little drop down, and now I see all the different strikes I can actually trade on the euro dollar for this 2-hour contract, right? So there's going to be a lot of different options for everything for you to trade. I know it can be a little bit overwhelming when you first get in and see the platform, but we try to have a lot of different options just so we always have a contract that could suit, anyone or any situation, any strategy that you want to be implementing on the platform. So we have all of our strike prices here. The strike price for binary options basically going to be, do you at the end of the expiration, do you think the price will be above or below that kind of line in the sand? I usually, for these webinars, try to pick them right around kind of the $40, $50 because that's going to be pricing pretty close to where the market is. So I'm kind of hovering over this 1.0894. So if I click on either just this whole strike right here, or if I click on the buy or the sell, I'm going to get both the chart that pops up in the middle of the screen as well as the deal ticket popping up over here on the right-hand side of the screen. Let me take down. Okay. So we have our chart in the middle and we have our deal ticket on the right-hand side. Again, I won't be going heavily into charting today, but this is where it lives, just sort of always in the middle of the screen here. Where we really want to be looking today is going to be this this deal ticket. So at the very top left of it, you do have the indicative price. It's going to really be the same price that you see over here, and that's going to be the price of the underlying market, or at least a good indicative price of the underlying market. It might not always be right on because it does that price does go through our settlement calculation kind of every second while it generates on the front end platform, so that you can make sure that what you're seeing there is always going to be going through the same process that the final sort of settlement value is going to go through at the end of the contract. So you have your indicative price. Moving over, we have our how much time is left in the contract. So 1 hour and 52 minutes because this is one of the 2-hour contracts just launched. So you can see very clearly, very quickly, we have this hour and now 51 minutes left. And then moving on down, we have really the crux of what we're trading here. This is will euro dollar finish higher than 1.0894 at 2 p.m. If you think it will finish higher than 1.0894 at 2 p.m., or you think generally the market's going to move in an upward direction, you want to go ahead and buy that contract. If you think it will be equal to or less than that 1.0894, you want to go ahead and sell that contract. Or if generally you think the market will move in a downward direction, you would also want to sell that contract, kind of a long or short position you're allowed to go ahead and get into. I do have a question already coming in here. Is it possible to see the liquidity of each asset? So you can, yes. So I guess it's kind of a good segue into what we have below here. So I'll show that in just 1 second. But we have the buy and the sell here. So you have your yes, your no, and we also have the buy and sell prices, right? So this is going to be the best available prices that are being offered by the market at any given time, right? So on the buy side, it's 51.25, sell side 47. But as we go into the show market depth, this is actually to answer the question that was just asked. This is where you're going to be able to see the overall liquidity of each asset, right? At least each individual strike that you're trading, right? So if I click show market depth, well, now I see that I'm not only getting the top price that I was just shown on the sort of buy and sell buttons on the ticket, but I'm also showing every single other price that's priced below that. That's basically out there on the order books willing to get filled. Now on the demo environment, generally liquidity is a little bit lower because we don't have as many market makers on the demo environment. Demo is sort of its own separate environment. It's not just copying live, it actually is being priced by a few market makers, sort of just a fake environment with fake money, but it is sort of real pricing, if you will, for that fake environment. So on the live environment, generally you will see more prices. And you can also provide liquidity as well. You can actually enter in a limit order, and I'll show how to do that in a second. And if you do a limit order that's not filled, it will show up in the order book. So really what you're seeing here is sort of the entirety of the order book. Well, if you go hide market depth, now you're just seeing that very top price, right? The very best price that's available on the market. So that's going to be how you can see sort of the liquidity for each strike and each product on the exchange. To actually see the liquidity of the underlying asset, if that's what the question was, you won't be able to see the actual liquidity of the underlying asset, right? For example, the euro the total euro dollar liquidity, you'll see the liquidity of the euro dollar contract that's greater than 1.0894 or any of the other different strike prices that we have. I hope that that answers that question there. But it was a good timed question because it segued very nicely into the rest of the deal ticket here. So as we move on down, then we have our order types. On Nadex, there are 2 order types. You're going to have your limit GTC. That's going to stand for limit good till cancel or good till close. Really good till cancel. And then you're going to have your market order. So that's going to be the other drop down. I believe that most of you, if you have just opened up your account, the ticket will default to market. That's going to be the default setting. I think I had changed the settings on this account because I do use a lot of limit orders. But for this example, we'll just do a market order. If you're not familiar with what these order types are, very, very basically, a market order is going to be what you want to place to get into the contract just right now at the best available price provided in the market, right? So if I'm going on the buy side and I hit this market order, I'm basically asking it to get me into the market at 45, 75, or whatever it's moving up and down, and it might move a little bit while I actually place that order, but I'm basically saying get me in at the best available price that's being offered up by the market. Well, as a limit order, you're actually going to be able to choose your price. Now, if I go in here and I put like 20, I'm not going to be able to buy that immediately at 20, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to place an order out into the market at 20, and if the price ever goes down to that point, then it will fill. Because it wouldn't really make much sense if the best price is $40, but I can go to the store and buy it for 20, right? So basically, you're just putting out a note saying if this gets to 20, then give me that contract at that price. And I will go back and do a limit order, but I just want to do a market order real quick just to show this first example here. I do have another question coming in, and before I move down on a little bit, do we have access to this recording when we get ready? So yes, this is being recorded, and it will go up on our YouTube channel at the end of the webinar, as well as all of the other webinars I do and all the other webinars a lot of our other educators and Nadex employees do about different things that might be interesting. So as we move on down, then we have our size. This size selector is just going to be how many contracts do you want. We're really just going to deal with 1 contract at a time here, but if you are trading and you really want 10 contracts, you can go ahead and get into 10 contracts. Just make sure you know what you're doing in those scenarios. You don't want to accidentally get into way more than you thought you needed, or put yourself in a bad position because you got into like 100 contracts where 1 might have been fine for the strategy. Moving on down here, we have our max loss and our max profit. Now I'll show you this real quick. So if we go over to limit, max loss is always going to equal basically what you would be paying. So I put it here, let's say I put $20 in here. My max loss is always going to be that $20, right? So you can't lose more on an Nadex contract than what you actually pay to get in. That's going to be true for both all of the binaries, the call spreads, and the knockouts, all 3 product types. What you pay to actually get in, there's not going to be any margin. You're not going to be able to lose more than what you pay to get in. The max loss is always going to be that initial cost investment. In this case, if I were to get filled at this price, about $20. The max profit, it's going to tell you again right up front, and that max profit is going to be $80. The maximum profit on any contract, or sorry, any binary contract, is always going to be 100 minus the max loss, right? Because the most you can make on a binary contract is going to be $100 for that payout. If it actually expires in your favor, you get that $100 payout. Your profit, though, would be $100 minus whatever you paid to get in. So in this case, 100 minus 20, there you go, that's 80. So these should really always add up to 100, except for the times when there's the market order with protection, which we will get to in just a little bit. But you can see when I actually do my market order here, this probably adds up to about 110, and that is because I have my market order with protection set to $10. And again, we'll get to what that is a little bit later in the webinar. But for right now, basically what you want to know is that if you put a market order in and you get filled at this price, that's really going to be your maximum loss that you can lose on the contract. So before I do get in and actually place the order, there's a couple more panels on the bottom of the deal ticket here, and these are actually very important. So we have, first of all, our max ROI and our probability ITM. So what do these mean? So ROI, return on investment, ITM, in the money. So basically these are telling you what is the maximum return I can get on this contract, right? So if I were to enter at this price and it actually goes and expires in my favor, what is the maximum percentage gain I'm going to get on this contract? And then which is heavily related to the probability of this contract expiring in the money. And expiring in the money basically is another way of saying expiring in the direction that you want it to be, right? In the money, I'm getting money, basically. So as opposed to out of the money, OTM, which would be it's expired. Out of the money, I receive $0 payout, right? Because with a binary option, you're always receiving either $100 or $0 at the expiration of the contract. And these two panels are very heavily related. So we'll look into the first one here, max ROI. And if you are ever, a little bit hesitant on what these means, you can click this little information bubble. It's going to give you a nice little breakdown. And also, if you click this, it'll take you over to a Learning Center article that'll give you a little bit more in-depth explanation. But very, very basically, the maximum ROI is just saying, okay, if I pay this much in, how much percentage can I gain on it, right? So in this scenario, if we are at about $23 and I were to go ahead and it were to expire in my favor, I would to make, let's say $25, I make 75 bucks. That's going to be about a 300% ROI, right? Because 25 times 3, 75. That's the return on my investment is 300% of what I actually paid to get into the contract. Now, the probability in the money that actually happens, you might be saying, why wouldn't I always do like a 300%? Because if we go down to maybe some of these, we'll see, if I wanted to get into a contract at $80, right? Because this contract is a little bit further in the money. Well, why would I get into a contract with the return on investment only 12%, right? Why would I pay $88 to only make $12 potentially if this goes in my favor? And that's going to be where the second part comes in. And you can see the probability of this happening is a lot higher. In the previous example we were looking at, the probability of the contract expiring in your favor was only, I think, about 25% for a 300% maximum ROI. Now this one has about 15% ROI, but it's a lot more likely that expires in your favor purely because we go ahead and look at the market. You will notice that I think this was the 300% one. We would need this market actually move up in the next 2 hours to go ahead and get a return on it. While if we go down and look at this, we just need the market to sort of not move against us. So that's going to be where you get those max ROI and the probability from. Another thing to kind of look at, the probability in the money is always just going to be the midpoint of these two pricing. So if you look at whatever the middle of this is, it's about 61.25, right? If you take 59 and 64, the very midpoint of that is going to be the same thing as the probability in the money. The reason we can sort of say this is because all of these are priced out of 100. So you can sort of say, okay, if it's all priced out of 100, you can think of that as like 100%. And therefore, whatever the market is pricing is what the market thinks the chance of that occurring is. I hope that makes sense. If that's a little bit unclear, let me know in the comments, and I will go back and explain it a little bit further. But it is always nice to sort of see these ROI and probability in the money numbers, and you'll always notice that if you go up to, let's say, a contract up here, that these are going to be sort of inversely related, right? So as max ROI goes up, your probability is going to go down. As probability goes up, your max ROI is going to go down. It sort of makes sense, right? If you're going to pay $80 to get into something, you're only getting a 10 out. Well, the only reason you would do that is if you have a much higher chance of that being in your favor. Same thing the other way. If you're going to pay $7 and potentially get $90 out of it for about 1,000% ROI, well, the only reason that makes sense for someone else to enter that deal with you is that if the chance of that happening is very low. So I've belabored that point, I think, long enough now. Let's go ahead and actually enter one of these contracts. So let me get one that's right around the actual price. And you'll notice as well, I'm clicking on the chart, and I can also click over here to select the different strike prices. So we'll get into, let's get into this contract, 64 bucks, right around there. I have my market order up, I have all my max losses, my max profit. I can do place order. And there we go. Finally, after I've talked for about 20 minutes, we finally have a contract. Finally placed an order, and we are ready to see what happens with our contract as we go through. So I will go across here really quickly and just explain a lot of what's going on this bottom panel. As we've done a lot of this deal ticket, we will get back to the deal ticket and explain a couple more things in just a second though. But I do want to go through the bottom here. And so this is going to be where all of your positions show up. It's going to be this positions panel right here. This one that I'm currently selected on. We can say I have one position, and then obviously if you have more, it'll tell you how many positions you actually have. So going from left to right here, we have our type. It's binary options, pretty self-explanatory. If we had call spreads or knockouts, it would say call spreads or knockouts. We have our contracts, so this is just going to be euro, dollar, and the strike price are greater than 10882. Again, we have the probability in the money, so we're sort of showing this to you as much as we can, right? Trying to belabor the point that this is the probability that this will actually expire in your favor. Moving on, we again have the indicative. I like putting the indicative, or, having the indicative fairly close to this so you can sort of see, okay, this is where the market is right now. This little indicative, that's where the market is. This is where I need it to be either above or below, depending on if you bought or sold the contract. We have the expiration. So this says today, April 7th at 2 p.m. That's going to be 2 p.m. Eastern time. That's an important thing to remember, is that all of the contracts on the exchange are going to be quoted at Eastern time. And if you are ever sort of confused about that, you can always look up here and you can see this is going to be the exchange time up here. And the exchange time is always going to be Eastern. All the contracts are going to be quoted at Eastern. It can be a little confusing if you don't live at Eastern time. For example, we're all based in Chicago, so we're in Central. It basically is sort of a regulatory thing that we need to have all the contracts say the same thing for everyone across the world who's trading them. Moving on, we have our time left. So if you're a little bit confused about when 2 p.m. Eastern time is, don't worry. We tell you very clearly that you have an hour and 37 minutes left in this contract. Going over, we have our position. So this just says +1 right now. I'll show you here. So this basically says not only how many of a contract that you have, right? So we only have one of this contract, but it also says the direction. So if I were to get into this, let's say I want to do a sell side contract and do 3 contracts. So I place this order, this says -3, right? Because I got into 3 contracts. It's red, it's a sell side contract. So we know that I'm selling this contract and I have 3 sort of contracts, and my position is 3 contracts. We have our average price here. So for our first example here, we have our average price was $63.50. That's just going to be the price we actually pay to get into the contract. Sometimes those numbers can get a little bit weird if you keep buying one and then buying one and then buying one, but that's going to be the overall price you pay to get into the contract. I do see another question. I'll get to that in 1 second. We have our current price. So that's going to be the price you could currently get out of the contract as. And then we have our profit and loss. So, and that's going to be obviously how much profit or loss you're taking on each individual contract, as well as the total that you have right here. So these 3 columns are fairly heavily linked, right? And you can see that the average price I paid to get in is $63.50. If I subtract what I could currently get out of the contract at, I get my profit and loss, which is $1, right? $63.50 minus $62.50, $1. You'll notice though that the current price that it's showing is always going to be the opposite side of where I got it, right? Because I got into this contract on the buy side. If I exit this contract, the money early, because you can exit every contract on the exchange early, you don't have to hold them until that expiration time we've been talking about. You can actually get out early. You can take some profits, but you need to remember that when you get out on the opposite side of what you got in. So I bought to get in, I'm gonna have to sell this contract to get out. And that's why this current price is telling me the sell price, because it's basically saying if I were to sell this right now, this is the price you can get, which also means that this profit and loss is not showing the profit and loss that you would receive if this were to expire right now. It is only showing the profit and loss that you would get if you sold the contract right now, if you exited your position. And we'll see a similar thing here. I just got into these 3 contracts here. You notice that I got in on the sell side. It's quoting me the buy side price, right? 26, 25, right? So it's quoting me the buy side price on this, because I sold to get in, I'm gonna have to buy to get out. And the whole profit and loss thing, I do want to belabor this point just a little bit, because I think it can be a little confusing if you, especially when you're new. The Profit and loss, obviously, it's showing right here. It's just the profit and loss if it expires right now at this point, right? So it is very possible that you can be showing a profit on this profit and loss, but if you were to let it expire, you would receive a $0 payout. How can that happen? Well, let's say we got into this contract down here. We paid 94 bucks for it, and actually let's say this one. Let's say we got into this contract up here. We paid $7 for this, and then in the next 2 hours, this market starts moving up, moving up, moving up. Well, generally that's going to make our contract more valuable, right? Because as the market goes up, as it gets closer to where we actually are, it might be priced a little bit more like, here, I'll show you all the strikes here. It might be priced a little bit more like $37 rather than sort of the $7 that it's priced at right now, right? So as it moves up, it'll probably be worth more, and therefore we will have we'll be showing most likely a profit or loss here, or sorry, a profit here. But if it has not gotten over this contract expiration, so it can be right here and then expire, well, our profit and loss would stay positive, but at expiration, it doesn't matter. It's just, is it above or below? So if we bought this contract and it's not above, we'd still receive a $0 payout. Same thing on the other side, right? You can be showing a very heavily negative loss. So like if I bought this down here, $96, and then the market keeps moving down, and now maybe this contract's worth like 50 bucks because the market has moved down so much. If I might be showing a loss of like $40, but if it were to expire, I would still get the $100 payout because it would still be above this point. So it can be a little bit confusing when you first see it. Just remember that the profit and loss that you're seeing here is just the profit and loss if you sell out of the contract right now. So before I go over and show the set profit target and close panels, I do have a question here, and it says, why don't the probabilities match up? I'm assuming you're talking about the probability in the money. Oh, okay. I'm assuming, and I'm hoping I'm getting your question right. So you're asking why the probability is matching up. It's because when I actually click on this, it's gonna, so the exchange is smart. When you click on the button here, it's gonna actually populate on the sell side because it says, okay, you have a buy side position. If you're gonna get out, I'll give you a sell side contract. I'll give you a sell side deal ticket so that you can get out quickly. So what's happening, if I go to the buy side, you'll see the probability in the money. Those are going to be the same. But if I click on it, now it's on the sell side, and the probability is actually going to be inversed, basically, right? Because we're on the sell side, so all of the numbers are sort of flipped because you want the market to go down, and so it's calculating the probability in the money not as the midpoint of this, but 100 minus the midpoint of this, right? So if I go back to buy, again, these are going to be the same, right? This is the same contract, same position. If I go to sell, now it's sort of telling me the probability that the sell side will actually happen, right? So that's where you're seeing the difference. Okay, so as we move on, we have this set profit target and close. So I just talked a little bit about how you can actually get out of your contract. One of the ways you're going to be able to do that is just by entering into, if I do like a market order right here, I'll be able to enter into this contract and it'll actually close my position, right? So if I bought to get in, if I just place another sell order, I can get out that way. But you can also, we sort of built that in as separate buttons, separate like functionality, so that you can just press this and sort of get a new deal ticket that will help you out. So we have both the set profit target and the close button. So let's do first the set profit target button. So here it's basically, here we basically have our contract here, and we can sort of enter in a profit target above what the current market is and say, okay, get me out. Let's say if this is ever worth, I don't know, 83.50, right? Because 83.50, we paid 63.50 to get in, so that's going to be a $20 profit. So I can go ahead and I can set this order now. So I'll click it. I'll place my limit order. I'm not getting out of the contract right now, but what that just did, and you'll see it, this just changed into a 1. I just placed a new order so that in the future, if this market does get up to 83.50, that order will trigger and I will get out of the contract at that point. I'll get my $20. That'll be my profit target, and I'll walk away, clean my hands, walk away at $20 richer, right? So that's what you're doing with the set profit target, and you'll see over here, basically this is the order that I just placed. If we go right here, oops, I want to kind of show. If we go right here, we see the 83.50, which is what I had entered here. See, so we have our profit targets at the 20. We have our 83.50 price point that I picked. So you can pick basically whatever price point you want as long as it's above where the current market is. You can also just close out of your position. So let's close out of our sell side position. Let's just say, maybe I picked a bad direction. It's going against me. I want to close out of this. So we also have this close button. The close button, very similar to the set profit target, except for you're basically just placing a market order to exit your contracts right now. And so obviously I have 3 of these. I can choose to close out of 1, 2, or 3, and we'll see. It'll tell me again my average price, the current market price, and there for my current profit and loss. So we see on one contract, it's just the subtracting 16 minus 25, you get an $8 loss, and then times 3, that's going to be around $26. So if I hit close position, there we go. It placed the order. I am now out of the position. You should see it disappear here, and I lost about $24, $25 on that trade. Not ideal, but sometimes you do want to get out of contracts early. It can be smart to get out of contracts early to limit your losses or to lock in your profits, depending on if your strategy goes along with that. So we have gone through basically all of our order panel here, or at least our open positions panel. I do want to go back and show one other thing here. So we were talking earlier about the market depth and the liquidity of each contract. So actually, if I go in here right now, I'll be able to see my order. So you can actually place, I was talking earlier about how all of the orders we were seeing in the order books are other market makers, but actually it's really anyone that wants to go ahead and place an order onto the exchange. So this 83.50, that's my order right here. You can see it on the on the order book. It's just sitting out there ready to be trading against, basically saying if this price ever gets to 83.50, trade against that and get me out of the contract. Or similarly, I can go and do a buy order. Let's go to a different contract here. If I go, this is pricing at $33. If I want to get in at $10, right? I can place this. It'll go to my order panel because I'm not getting in immediately. I'm basically saying if it gets down to 10, get me in. If I place this, there we go. We'll see it shows up here, but you will also be able to see it on the order panel. Did I place it at 10 or did I place it at 32.75? I should be seeing this, but don't know why that's showing this at 32.75. Let's try to trade against. Let's delete my order here. Okay, so this is just somebody else's order. I don't know where my order went. What's going on? Refresh the screen here real quick. But yeah, again, so if I place like a $10 order here, I should be able to place my order. It'll go down into my order panel. We have $10. If I show the market depth, again, we should be seeing my order, but I don't know why I'm not. So that seems to be strange. I'm not sure why I'm not seeing my $10 order. Maybe it's because I have my 83.50 on the other side there. Definitely we'll look into that, but basically you can place your own order and it will show up on the order book, and it can be traded against, right? So that's where you're going to be able to see all the different working orders that are out there on the exchange, whether they be by market makers or by individuals like me or you or anyone else. I do want to go over the order panel here real quick. It'll be very quickly because it's very similar to the positions panel. A couple differences though. So as we go through here, same as the order panel, same as the position panel. We have this filled column. This is one that's different. This filled area right here. That's basically just saying if I have an order for 5 contracts and it goes ahead and it hits my price, but it only hits them for maybe 3 available contracts. So let's say I put 5 contracts at $10. And when it gets down to $10, there's only 3 contracts available. So it'll trade those 3 and it'll tell me I filled 3 and I still have 2 more to go. So that's basically what that filled panel means. The price, again, pretty self-explanatory. We have our price here. And this is the price that I want to get filled at. And then we have the current market, which is just saying the current market either on the buy or the sell side, depending on which you have placed your order on. Now you'll notice as I click on these two options in the working order panel, I get some other options on the deal ticket itself. So rather than having, just being able to kind of place order, if I click on my working orders, I can go in and I can delete the order or I can amend the order, right? It's grayed out right now, I can't press it. So if I say, okay, I actually don't want to get into this contract anymore, let's go ahead and just delete that order. It's going to get me out, right? Because I never actually was in the contract. So that's another important thing to remember. If you are actually in a contract, if you're in a position, the only way to get out is going to be able to like sell that back onto the market. If you're in an or if you have placed a working order, you actually haven't gotten into a position yet, so you can just either delete it or you can go ahead and amend it. Let's say I don't want $10, I want $20. I can amend that order, and we'll see my price here is now $20 rather than 10. So that's going to be how you go ahead, delete orders, amend your orders, and basically everything in the order panel there. Yeah, I do have another question. Can we play around with cryptocurrency yet? So yes, there are a few cryptocurrency contracts on the exchange. We have these here. Right now, they are just on demo, but check back soon because we're working on some stuff. That's all I can say at this point. But hopefully soon. I can't really give any more information to that. But as for right now, you can trade Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum, or Litecoin on the demo environment. And yeah, again, look out for some announcements in the future. So as we move over on this panel down here, we have our 24-hour history. This is just going to be our 24-hour order history. And as we can see, as we go through, I'll go through this very quickly. I sort of call this a lot like a quick reference history because it's only 24 hours, it's only order. There is a better history you can use that gives you a lot more detail. But if you really want to really quickly see what you've just done, you can always click on this 24-hour history here and you can see, okay, this is the order I canceled, right? So that's the one that I just canceled. But basically for all the filled ones, we see like order sent, order filled, order sent, order filled. You can see these are sort of the same two contracts here. So for almost every contract on this order history, you're going to have two lines at least, but the order being sent sort of to the back end of the exchange and the order kind of matching with another trader and then filling, right? So we have order sent, order filled. I'm not going to spend too much time, but you can see sort of you have all of your when you placed it, what the binary option was, what the strike was, right? The position, whether it was +3, -3. The price and whether it's filled or sent, but I will spend a little bit more time on the history when we actually get over to a little bit more in-depth history. I think I do have another question coming in here. Can you please clarify what the buy and sell price means? If you buy an order at 66.50, that what you win, is that what you win if the contract closes in your favor or you win 100? Okay, so yeah, good question. So if I get into a contract at $50, right? Let's say let's go back. Let's choose this one. Let's say I get into let's choose down here. I get into this 69.50, right? If I place an order at 69.50, I get filled to this. I'm paying $69 to get it, right? So 69 will leave my account. We'll see up here I have about $10,408. If I place order. Now it's about $10,339 or about $69 less than what I just had, right? So you're paying that to get in. If the contract expires in my favor, let's say in the next hour and 20 minutes, it's still above this line, I'm gonna get paid out $100, right? That's not my profit, that's my payout. So if I get paid out $100 and I paid $69 to get in, my profit will be 31. I hope that makes sense. So on the sell side, it's gonna be the inverse, right? So it's a little bit more confusing when you get to the sell side because with the sell side, if I actually get into this contract, I won't pay $61. I'm actually paying $39 because it's 100 minus what you see. But again, if the end all be all of the binary options is if you are correct, if you hold it to expiration and you are, if you bought and it's above the price, or if you sold and it's below or equal to the strike price, you're going to get $100 payout. But again, that's not your profit. You have to do 100 minus whatever you pay to get into the contract. So in this case, I paid 67 to get in. I would have 100 at the end of the time. So that's going to be a $33 profit, not including fees, which would be $1 on either side. So I hope that makes sense. So moving on, we've done most of our order panel. We've done most of our working order and positions panel down at the bottom. So let's go over and do sort of this top panel. We can do this pretty quickly. are a couple more things I'm going to show in the deal ticket, but I'll wait a little bit to the end. Those are some little tricks I like to use. So first of all, we have our open live account. If you don't have a live account, if you click this button at the very top left, it's going to take you over to our live account application. Fill it out whenever you feel you need to. One thing to remember though, the demo account, if you just have a demo account, it's only for 30 days and then it will expire. If you do open up a live account, you don't have to fund it, you don't have to do anything on it, you just need to open the live account, then you can extend your demo forever, right? So if you've been here for about 30 days and you see that it's expired, all you really need to do is open that live account. Again, no obligation to trade or fund or anything. You just do have to open a live account and then you can use your demo account forever. Keep practicing until you're ready to deposit funds. Moving on, this top panel up here, we have our platform status. Right now it says operational. About 99.9% of the time it's going to say operational. If you click on it, you'll get to the status page and it will tell you, okay, it's a trading platform up, or all, payments, mobile apps, everything, are all these operational. And then there's some more things about price halts and trading limits. And luckily, knock on wood, we haven't hit any of those since about March of 2020. So, if you do ever see any markets halted as well, you can click on that and get a little bit more information there as well, but it doesn't happen very often. We have the exchange time. Again, it is always at Eastern time. We talked about that a little bit. And then we have our different values here. So we have our available balance. That's going to be how much funds we actually have available to go ahead, place trades, get into contracts. We have our reserve. Those are going to be funds that are sort of required to fill in any working orders, right? So I have $20 plus $1 for the fee. So that's going to be $21 sort of held in reserve for that working order that I have. We have our account value. So that's just going to be the value of all the available contracts. And then we have some other ones here. If you're ever a little bit, you don't know what these all mean, you can click this information panel. I'm going to tell you what all of these different points mean here. You do also have, you can only put 3 up at the time, but you can kind of choose which ones you want to be at the top. So if I always want to see my available balance, my P&L, I can put that at the top. You can also hide these values. So I know this was a requested one for different educators and different people that maybe trade on public machines. You can hide how much money you have in your account if you don't want somebody like looking over your shoulder and seeing all of that. And then we have our account section, and then this last one's just the demo on live. This will say live, obviously. But the account section here is going to be where, if you click on this is going to be where you find a lot of the sort of administrative tasks that you can do, right? So we'll click on it. We have our account overview. So this is just going to be sort of a breakdown of where all of our account funds are. This circle, you can't really see it here, but I do have a little bit there, my position value, a little bit there, my reserve. My overall account value is mostly that 10,000 that you get when you open a new demo account. And this is also going to be, if you use all your funds in your demo, this is where you're going to want to go ahead to replenish that balance, get a little bit more funds. If you click this, it's going to basically tell you you can reset it to 10,000. It's not going to work when I click it because I'm already over 10,000, right? So you do need to be under $10,000 for this to work. You also can only do this once every 24 hours. Hopefully you're not blowing through $10,000 every 24 hours in the demo account. If so, probably adjust your trading strategy just a little bit. But yeah, so you can only choose it once every 24 hours and once you have under $10,000 in the account, but then you can fill your demo account back up and keep practicing. Moving on down, we have our residential address and our contact details. For these two, it's going to be basically just something completely random because this is obviously just sort of a practice account that I use for webinars. It is important for you to make sure that you have this up to date, especially on your live account, but it helps for the demo account as well. Because for certain things like tax information, right? It's tax season right now. We do send those 1099-Bs out to the address on file. So make sure that's up to date as well as making sure your contact details are up to date. Again, these are not real contact details because it's a webinar account. But if we do need to get in contact with you on the demo and on the live, we'll call the number you have on file, or we'll email you at the email address we have. On the live account, this is also going to be where you access your wallet. Obviously, this is the demo account, so there's no wallet section here. But on the live account, right underneath this, you'll see your wallet. You'll see your ability to add new bank accounts, add new cards, fund your account, withdraw funds from your account. All of that good stuff is going to be right under here in this section. Moving down, we have our history. So this is what I talked about earlier, where this is going to be the better history, at least in my opinion, to go ahead and use. We have our two types of histories. We have our transaction history and order history. I like to use transaction history. I think it's a little bit more clear about what's actually going on with your trades. You can say trading or funding. So funding history, obviously, is just going to be putting funds in and out of the account, and trading history is going to be your actual trades. And then we also have, you can choose your time. So let's say the last 30 days. And I can say view history. And there we go. This is my history. This is what I've been doing. We can see all the trades today. We have our buy. We have the times that these have happened. We have how much I've paid. So when you pay to get into a contract, you're basically going to have a negative balance. And when you close the contract, you're going to have a positive balance, or when it settles. So to find your P&L on any one contract, you're going to have to add this up basically. This wasn't, it'll be these three lines here. If you aren't sure about, because obviously this isn't a great way to go ahead and look at your P&L. Another way you can do this is actually go hit download. And what this is going to do, it's going to pop up a CSV Excel file. It's popping up on the other screen, of course. So it's going to pop up an Excel file, and it will have all of your transaction history in this Excel file. So this is going to be the easiest way to actually calculate your overall profit and loss. Again, I know this isn't the best way to do it. We are currently working on trying to overhaul this. It's a lot longer project than you might think it would be. But this is going to be, as for right now, until we overhaul sort of the order history and transaction history and make it easier to see what your profit and loss overall is going to be, the best way is going to be to go into Excel, download your thing, download your position. Then if you do equals sum, a little Excel class here real quick, you can drag all this up. And this is basically just going to sum up this column. And it's also going to be overall profit and loss from any positions that are actually closed out. So over the last 30 days, I've lost about $182 on this account, mostly because I just use this for webinars. Yeah, so this is going to be sort of the easiest way to get your P&L right now. Again, I'm fully aware that this is not the best way to get a P&L, and we are working on improving that, but just in the meantime, this is going to be the best way to get about it. So I'm going to get out of this here. So that's basically the history panel. I know I blew through that real quick. I want to make sure we get through everything before the end of the webinar here, and make sure we have a little bit of time for questions, although I have been answering a lot of them that have been coming in. As we move down, we have our statement. The statement's basically just going to be your transaction history, but it's going to be put into a nice little PDF here, as you can see that just popped up, and it's just going to be the last 30 days of your transactions. If you need this for your records, you can go ahead and download this. If you need more than 30 days of this, go ahead and email customer service at nadex.com. They should be able to pull a more than 30-day PDF account statement for you. But if you just need 30 days, this is going to be the easiest way to get it. Moving on down here, we have to contact us. This is going to be the different ways you can contact us. Probably the best way is just to email us or to use live chat. I'll show you how to get to live chat in 1 minute. You can write us snail mail if you want. This is our physical address where we go into the office. I would highly recommend not doing that because it takes forever to get there. Also, we are generally in the office less these days, and there's less people in the office, so someone is not always going to be there the day it gets in. So that's just adding more time. Really, just email us if it's 99% of the things that you can ask, we can do over email. So. Moving on down, we have our feedback. The feedback is super, super important. It's actually so important we put it on here twice. I always belabor this point because we really do appreciate and value your feedback on the platform. This isn't just some black box. If you type in, I hate Nadex so much, right? I can't even type right now. Hopefully you don't hate Nadex, but if you hate it, if you love it, if you want new features, send this into us in this feedback box, because again, it's not just like some black box that whatever checks. I actually have reports that run every day. They get sent to me, they get sent to our developers, our project managers, and basically when I'm having my coffee in the morning, first thing I do is I read through all of the feedback from the day before. So everything that you put in here is being read by a real human being, probably by a developer or project manager that will look at them, and a lot of the functionality that we put on in the last couple of years after we've launched this platform, a lot of the new functionality we've done has been because we've had so much feedback that people needed that functionality. So definitely leave that feedback because it is very important, and we do look at it. And then going down to, we have refer a friend here. I'm not going to go over all the intricacies of the refer a friend program, but very basically, you can refer friends. If you both trade, you both can get funds into your account. And this is going to be where you actually get your link to refer your friend. I believe you have to have a live account. Just make sure you read all of the rules of refer a friend before you get into it. Make sure you know what you're doing and getting into. There's going to be some FAQs here. They can go ahead and read up on it. And it'll tell you how the refer a friend program works. But yeah, if you do refer friends, you can both get some funds into your account and get trading that way. And then at the bottom, we have our log out. I'm not going to click it right now, but that's going to be how you log out of your account. Again, just to kind of remind everyone, the way you get to that panel is going to be this account panel in the top right. So this, you click up here, and there you have all of these details, including the wallet. I have a question coming in here. Why did you need all my banking info when I use my debit card to make a deposit into my account? So sometimes I would have to look at your individual account to see why, because there are different funding and depositing rules that we have to follow. Potentially you needed to, I would email customer service about that and ask that, because there can be different rules that we have to follow. Basically, that regulatory, we have to make sure that, we're sending funds to the right person, or that, there's a lot of KYC AML, like anti-money laundering laws that we have to follow. So that might be it. I would have to look at your individual account to see why we needed that. But yes, sometimes even if you do fund with a debit card, we have to have banking info to send the money back. It can get complex, but it's sort of an individual basis. Sometimes you can't just get funds sent straight back to the debit card. And yeah, again, I'm sorry, I can't answer specifically why yours, because I need to look at your specific account. But yeah, so it is. I wish we could just give everyone their money back straight to the funding method, but there are a lot of, because we are regulated by the CFTC, there are like a lot of KYC AML laws that we have to follow, just being a regulated exchange. So I do want to make sure I get through this sort of side panel here. I know I've been going on for the better part of about 50 minutes here, but we are almost through all the functionality of the exchange. There's a couple more little things I want to go over here. So we have sort of this side panel that runs down the side. This entire time we've been selected on the markets panel, and that's going to be the default panel when you actually open up the exchange. If you go down, we have our notifications. This is going to be where we post all these different notifications. So we have, any new features that we put in, right? So the max ROI and probability, they're fairly new. Refer a friend, it's not that new, but we put new features in here. But we also, you'll see, we put in like holiday scheduling. Like next week is Good Friday on Friday, so we'll be closed. So make sure you're checking this for any different holidays. Also, when we do symbol rollovers for our underlying markets, because a lot of our underlying markets are based on futures, and the symbols roll every few months, you'll get that notice here when we're actually rolling those symbols. Moving on down, mobile app. So if you click this button, this is going to bring up a QR code. We do have a mobile app. It's not in the App Store. What you're basically going to need to do, you can bring up the mobile app, you can scan it on your phone, and it's going to just kind of put it on your phone. And it'll give you instructions on how to kind of add that to your home screen. From there, it's gonna operate just like any other application on your phone, with the one benefit that you actually don't need to update the app ever. So it'll kind of automatically do that. Without going too much into it, it's a progressive web app, so it's somewhat new technology. But we'll leave it at that. But that's going to be how you get your mobile app for Nadex. Contact us. This is going to be how you get to live chat. So if you hit this contact us button, it'll pop up here, and there should be. Sorry, my Chrome is a little messed up right now, and I'm not trying to troubleshoot it. So my Chrome is messed up, but generally, if your Chrome isn't messed up, you'll have a live chat bubble down here that I think is being hidden by my Chrome, not allowing you to select different things. But that's going to be how you get to live chat, is hitting that contact us button. Feedback, again, it's very important. So important we put it on here twice. And we have our settings. I do see another question. I'll get to that in 1 second. I want to make sure we get through all of our settings and everything here first. So these are going to be all the different settings that you can choose on the platform. I'll go through them fairly quickly. First of all, we have our tolerance level. I mentioned our tolerance level a little bit earlier when I was talking about, why this doesn't add up to 100, it adds up to 110, and that's because of the tolerance level on the market orders. Very, very basically, I'll give a very quick rundown of what this is. So basically, when you place a market order into the exchange, because especially binary options can be can move so fast, and especially stuff like a 5-minute binary, because that it's so compressed, the prices can move very quickly up and down. What this is basically doing is it's a protection level on your market order, because basically when you do a market order on most exchanges, what you're saying is give me into the best available market price, even if I were to pay like $40 and then the price goes up to $80, most places it's just going to get you in at that 80 because you said give me in at the best available market price whenever you can be matched. Because with binary options they move so fast, we basically built in this sort of tolerance range, and you can set it here. I think the default is going to be 10. Very basically, if I have this set to 10, it will always fill me unless the market order from when I press kind of place order to when it goes to the back end of the exchange to when it comes back, which happens in milliseconds. But if in those milliseconds the order price goes over $10 away or goes over your protection level, it won't fill you. So for example, if I'm trying to get into binary at $40 and I press place order and it goes up to $45 by the time it gets back to me, it will fill me at $45, right? Because that was the best available price by the time my order got sent to the back end. If my order got sent to the back end, it was $55, it's not going to fill me because it's over $10 away. It's over $10 worse of a price than what I actually wanted. So basically that's what that tolerance level is. So if you set this really low, right? Like if you set this to $1, you're always going to get filled, or you're always going to make sure that your orders that are going in are getting filled right at the price you're seeing, but you have a lot higher chance to not get filled because if it goes over $1 away, it's not going to fill you. If you go up to 25, right, it's basically going to fill you at anything over $25 away, which is most times, but you might get a little bit of what we call slippage on that market order when you get in. So that's going to be just very, very quickly what that tolerance is. We have some articles on the site as well if you want a bigger deep dive into what I'm talking about here. But very basically, it's we try to protect you from paying what you didn't think you were going to pay for the market order. We have our default order type for everyone. When you first open an account, the default order type will be market. I set mine to limit, but basically if I go and open up a deal ticket, click on one, you will see now it's set to market, and if I change that setting, now it's set to limit, right? So it's just whichever order type you use more, just set it here, and then when you open up a deal ticket, it will always be at that either market or limit order. We have our default contract size. Again, this is similar. You can set this to 10, and then every time you open up a ticket, it'll be 10 size. I highly recommend just keeping it to 1 unless you always trade 10 lots because you don't want to accidentally get into more contracts than you thought you would be able to get into. We have our session and activity. This basically just how long after not doing anything on the platform will it log you out. I have mine set really high because I basically only trade on my home personal computer. Maybe you want to set that low if you trade on a public machine. And then we have our theme. I'm gonna have to blind my eyes here. We have our light theme, so bright. We have our system. Basically, this will just copy whatever your browser is set to. If you have your browser set on a dark theme, it will copy that. And then you have your dark theme, which I personally use for basically everything. All right, so we also do have a little panel here. This is gonna be something that if you kind of click on this, it'll take you through different trades. So it's just like a little learning tool. It'll take you through kind of placing a binary option trade. We're always putting more on here, but that's what this little how-to is. It'll sort of walk you through placing different trades, looking at your order history, etc. A couple more. I do know we're getting right down here, so I only have a couple more questions coming in. So I will definitely get to those. I just want to make sure that we get through all of the functionality here. We have this refresh button. You may have noticed we just got to 1 p.m. Eastern, so some of these contracts expired, right? So 1 p.m. expired. If you hit this refresh button, and there should be another 2 hours, so there should be a 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. contract up. if you hit this refresh button, it's going to take away the expired contracts and it's going to give the new ones. So if I hit refresh, there we go. 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. is here now. The expired contract's gone. Just the easy way to get the new contracts up without actually refreshing your entire browser. One last thing before I get to these last few questions, and that's going to be the tear-off tickets. The tear-off tickets are very useful in my opinion. So basically, if you go to your deal ticket and you click in the top right corner, it's going to pop the ticket off. Now, why is this super useful? Well, there's a lot of different things you can use for this because you can just have the ticket. It's in its own little bubble here. You can have the price ladder here, so you can see all of your euro dollars. You can have the price ladder and the chart. You can have the price ladder, the chart, and the ticket, right? You can have all of these different setups. One thing that I like to do if I'm watching a lot of different markets, and I'll try to do this super quickly. I have a second screen over here, but I'll kind of set it up and then I'll show you. Let's say I always trade the Aussie yen and I trade the euro pound and the we'll just do 4 real quick, the pound yen. Let's say I always trade these and I want to set them up on my screen here. I'll often do this on kind of a second screen. But you can sort of set up your screen so that if I just go to the price ladder, all these, I'm just showing, this is just kind of an example. This is something that I like to do. Often I'll do this with like 8 different markets. And now I can look at all of the pricing of Aussie yen, euro pound, euro dollar, pound yen. I could look at all of these at the same time and sort of watch them. You could also do this with charts. So you're going to be able to go ahead and set up all of the different kind of, you can sort of customize your screen. Now, if you only have one screen, this might be a little bit harder to do. But if you do have a multi-screen setup, I usually like to put this on my second screen and sort of just watch how a lot of the markets are going. If you get a market that's running up heavily, you can sort of see all the numbers moving in one direction. But I'm just going to exit out of these real quick now. But the way you do that, again, just to show one more time, is going to be this tear off ticket. It's going to bounce that off. You can also do this from here with a tear off chart, and it's going to tear the chart off. And then you can order it. You can open the tickets from just clicking in there. So that should be everything. I really hope that I showed everything on this webinar. We also have our hide panels here. I do have a couple questions, so I'll answer these questions real quick. So we have a few. Okay, so first one, can you explain the in the money and out of the money concept? Yes. So in the money, basically, it's sort of here, let me bring up this right. So in the money and out of the money are a concept that they're sort of described by the title. So in the money basically just means that the contract is, when it expires, it'll be in the money and you will get the payout of that contract, right? So there's actually sort of 3: ITM in the money, OTM out of the money, and ATM at the money. At the money contract, right? If we're talking about contracts, so an at the money contract would be a contract that's right around where the current market is, right? So so you can sort of classify all of these contracts right now. So it can either talk about if the contract were to expire right now, or generally the strike's position to the contract, right? So these contracts, so a buy side contract up here, this is out of the money, because if this were to expire right now, the way I'm going to get paid out is if this market is above this line, right? That's the payout, right? Because if I'm buying, I want it to be above. So it's not above that. Therefore, I wouldn't get a payout. Therefore, I'm not getting any money. Therefore, it's out of the money, right? At the money is just going to be really ones that are very close to where the current contract is. In the money is going to be ones where if it were to expire right now, or if it did expire, I would be getting money. So again, similar example, if I were to buy this contract, I just need it to be above this line. The market is currently above that line, so this is an in the money contract right now. And if it were to expire, I would get my $100 payout. Therefore, I would get money. Therefore, making it an in the money contract. I hope that makes it a little bit more clear. It's just the different terms are describing basically a contract's position relative to the underlying market. How many millionaires have been made through Nadex? I am not sure. I don't have any exact numbers on that. I know some people have been quite successful trading on Nadex. I know some people have lost money trading on Nadex as well. I'm just to be completely transparent. Obviously, there's risk when you trade here, trade anywhere. So yeah, some people do make money here. Some people do lose money here. some people make money for a while and then lose money. Some people lose money for a while and then make money. Some people always make money. It's you just got to make sure your strategies are good, and there's no one that's going to work for everything. Another question here. I'm loving that you guys are asking a lot of questions, by the way. Thanks, and I always like answering them. Will more currency pairs be added or no? Yeah. So actually, while I answer this, I'm going to go back to our. Let's throw this up real quick. So the question was, will more currency pairs be added? Oops. What did I just do here? Sorry, I think your guys are probably seeing like a bunch of different things here. Okay. So yes, we do add more currency pairs as the let's see, swap is what I was trying to do. We do add more currency pairs as they're needed, basically. So we added I think the most recent one we added was the dollar peso, and I think that was maybe a year ago or so. We've been adding other contracts as well. Like we recently added a bunch of event contracts near the beginning of the year. I think we added about 15 more. We're working on a bunch more contracts to come in the future. So we're always like, I'm on the product team, and we're always working on more products that we think make sense to trade. Right now, I will tell you that there's no traditional currencies in the works. But if you have one that you like, definitely send it over. Sometimes it's a little bit harder for us to do everything that maybe a traditional Forex trading platform would be able to do, just because in the Forex world, right, a lot of the Forex is a little bit more illiquid, and we need really liquid underlying markets because basically we're doing derivative contracts. And so we always need that pricing going. Whereas let's say something like the Swedish krona, sometimes it's a very liquid market, sometimes there's not a lot of stuff happening in it, and so it's hard for us to price the market when there's not a lot of stuff happening in the underlying market. But if you have ones that you specifically like, let us know, and we definitely take all that feedback and look into everything that we can add, because we like adding more contracts. It's fun to let all y'all trade whatever you want. Any possibility of offering 60-second trades? Not at this time. We've looked into it in the past. It hasn't really made a ton of sense for us to do, especially because I could actually talk on this point all day. We do have had this requested before, and we're really right at the end of the time we have a lot of this webinar. So I'll just say we do always go back and take a look at it periodically. At this point, though, it hasn't really made a lot of sense for us to offer 60-second contracts, just because of how they would operate is kind of the very, very short answer, because we don't have too much time here left. If you do have any more questions, though, throw them in the chat. Sorry, I can't give a longer answer, but the short answer is, as of this moment, we're not looking at 60-second contracts. The very, very last thing here, I do have up on the screen, and if you do have any more questions, throw them in the chat, and I'll get to them after I do the little spiel here. If you do need any help or you have any more questions after this webinar is over, or if you're watching a recording of this and want to ask questions, go to customerservice@nadex.com, send an email in or live chat. It'll get right to somebody, and it's generally, I think, an hour is like the longest turnaround time we generally have, if it's not on a weekend. Very knowledgeable people over on the customer service team. Ask them your questions. If you are enjoying Nadex, leaving a review on Trustpilot does help us a lot. Our social media team does always want me to plug that. And then we have a lot of socials here at the bottom. We have Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, all the good ones, all the big ones. We do post on Twitter a lot, and we try to let everyone know if there's any contracts that we're launching or any anything going on. We try to put it on Twitter. Also, this webinar will be up on the YouTube here in a couple hours after we sort of process it and get it all approved, put it up. I have a lot of webinars on our YouTube channel. A lot of other people do webinars here and do shorter form content as well. So go check that out if you want to learn a little bit more, and if you like hearing me drone on for over an hour. I also do webinars every Thursday at about this time, so check back in next Thursday. I believe next Thursday is I think next Thursday is knockouts and call spreads, but don't hold me to that. You can go check on our website on the webinar panel, and that'll tell you what my next webinar is if you really like hearing me talk a lot. All right, I'm not seeing any other questions come in here, and we are about an hour and 10 minutes into this webinar, so I will go ahead and call it here. thank you all for coming and hanging out. I hope this was helpful, and I hope you all learned something here today. Again, if you have any other questions, send them into customer service, and we'll try to help you out with those. Other than that, I hope all of you have a great rest of your day, great rest of your week, and good luck in all of your trainings. Have a good one, everyone.